Any info on Icon of the Seas? We actually do have an update for you on that, Jared. I posted an update last week on RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. I sat down with Jay Schneider, who's the Chief Product Innovation Officer for Royal Caribbean Group, and he was talking about Icon, and all he said was that we can expect an update, Jared, in about 2 months from now. So keep an eye out. What is it, March, April? So around to May or so, we should have some more information coming up very soon about Icon of the Seas, which is very exciting. It's a new class of Royal Caribbean cruise ship that we don't know very much about, but it's going to be a new class of ships. And all Royal Caribbean has just said is it's going to be a big deal. Revolutionary, evolutionary are some of the words that executives have shared with regards to that. So excited for that. Going on my first cruise on next Monday. Any suggestions? Oh, man, where do I start? How much time you got? A couple things. Obviously, number one, and this may be, since you're going on a cruise pretty quickly here, some of my other tips I would share with you are too late now, right? Number one, if you haven't done it already, do the online check-in through the Royal Caribbean app. Number two, make sure you have a check-in time and do everything in the check-in. So don't just check in and just put in put in everything. Put your passport information in, take a selfie photo, upload a photo of your vaccine card. The more you do in the app now at home, the less you will do in the cruise terminal. It makes it so much faster. Trust me when I say, do it all, do as much as you can, do everything in the app. It makes it, and do it for everybody. I know it's really, I'll often do the check-in, and my kids will be in school and be like, well, I got to take a selfie photo of them, and maybe I forget to do that. Do that. That's number one. Number two, when you get on board the ship, Dead Mouse, as soon as you get on board, I would connect to the Royal Caribbean Wi-Fi and book any shows you can via the Royal Caribbean app. We actually have a video that we've done recently, the boarding day tips in 2022. I would start with that. That's a pretty good one to kind of go with, if you ask me. So that's, again, there's many more beyond that, but I really do think those boarding day tips that I shared not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, here on our YouTube channel would be pretty helpful. What do I think about the Jumbo TV over Central Park? I know some people are making a big deal about this in the sense that on Wonder of the Seas, they've added a new movie screen on the pool area. Well, that movie screen overlooks also Central Park. I would just say this, that, forget the movie screen for a second. I mean, when there's live music, and there's been live music on the pool deck on every Oasis class ship, you can hear that in Central Park. So the idea of noise bleed in Central Park is not unusual. It's not unheard of, no pun intended. Unheard of, get it? Haha. I think it's more of an issue of perhaps when they're playing, a movie at 10 o'clock at night. That can be an issue there. But if that's the worst you can say about Wonder of the Seas, I think that's probably a good thing to say. I don't know. Doesn't really faze me, but I'm also not asleep at 9 o'clock at night either. If we do my time dining, I just noticed the earliest we can eat is 6:45. Will we be able to make the show in the main theater? Yeah, there's usually 2 shows, Tim, as it relates to the shows. So you'll be able to make one or the other. Don't forget, by the way, just because you're seeing that online doesn't necessarily mean there's not going to be availability for my time dining at a different time. So, you don't assume just because what's online, let's say it's written in stone, there's no way we can have an earlier dining time. Check once you get on board the ship and keep an eye on for that. Can you please explain what do the categories mean in regards to the cabin type, 1B, 2B, 3B? Yeah, essentially what it means, Javon, it refers to a couple things. Essentially the location, the size, and the occupancy of the room. So essentially what it breaks down the basic categories, whether it's an inside, a ocean view, a balcony, a suite, and basically says, okay, well, if the room can accommodate 2 or 4 people, it gets one category or another. If it can, if it's in a good location, like midship versus all the way forward, it gets a different number. So essentially it helps break down a category, because not all balcony cabins are the same, right? A balcony cabin that has a obstructed view is not going to have is not the same as one that has a prime view. And that's essentially what they're doing right there. So really the numbers correlate more to internal references. It's really more of a question of you just understanding, oh, this is this where the room is located, how many people it can accommodate, and maybe some amenities within that cabin itself. Are they going to start doing the parades on all the ships? Yes, systematically, yes. We posted an update about that last week, but here's the proof of it, Paul. We're going to have a parade coming up, I believe, tomorrow and day 6 as well, here on Wonder of the Seas. Royal Caribbean said the other day that they have to move the team. They can't just flip a switch. When it comes to the shows, I'm going to expand your question, Paul. Whether we're talking about Columbus the musical on Harmony, whether we're talking about the parade, or any of these shows, you can't just call. Royal Caribbean doesn't just call the ship, be like, hey, remember that show you guys used to do? Yeah, start it again. Doesn't work that way. You got to have rehearsals. You've got new crew members on board that weren't on board before then. Anyway, long story short, they have to take a team from headquarters, send them to that ship, and work with the crew members on there to essentially coordinate how that all works. So eventually the answer is yes. And on Wonder of the Seas, the parade is going to be starting up tomorrow, which is great news. What ship would you recommend for Alaska? It's a tough question. There's a lot of very strong opinions. If you've never cruised Alaska before, never done it, I would say a Quantum class ship like Ovation or Quantum of the Seas out of Seattle. It's easier. There's a lot of cool things to do on board, not compromising on the cruise ship experience. You're still seeing Alaska. It's fantastic. But if you're saying, Matt, I want to go to the most exotic Alaska ports. I want to see more glaciers. I want to really have, I want the best itinerary, then pick a Radiance class ship like Radiance or Serenade of the Seas. But for first timers, I think it's a really good idea to do, a ship out of Seattle, like an Ovation of the Seas or Quantum of the Seas. It's easier, cheaper, and you still have a great ship. Now, they're all great ships, don't get me wrong, but it's still going to be a very fun experience and a good opportunity to get your feet wet as it relates to Alaska. My thoughts on Enchantment of the Seas. I know smaller, older ships, but wanted to hear your thoughts. My thoughts are this, Jeff. It's irrelevant what my thoughts are. I think you can have a great cruise on every single ship in the fleet. The question is, what do you want on that ship? Do you want to have an aqua theater? Do you want to have water slides? Do you want to have a full Broadway show? Enchantment doesn't have any of those things. But if you're saying, Matt, I live in the Mid-Atlantic area, I want to be able to drive my cruise, and I want to have a relaxing escape on a cruise ship where I can just wake up in the morning, go to the pool, hang out, have some drinks, have dinner in the evening, and just kind of chill out and enjoy some live music. Enchantment's great for that. As long as you're okay with it, doesn't have other things and other features that other newer ships, bigger ships might have. If you're okay with that, then I think you'll have a great time. Do you think Royal Caribbean will ever have an itinerary out of Galveston that goes to CocoCay? Ever? Sure, why not? I think it actually, once upon a time, I think they did go there. But obviously, logistics, there's a reason why. It's not like they're like, you know what, I know everyone wants to go there. We're not going to go there. No, they would love to bring you there. It's more about logistics more than anything. But never say never, Will. You never know. I will give this credit. There was time in a couple of years ago, I would have said, guys and gals, there is no way you're ever going to see an Oasis class ship out of New York. There's no way you're ever going to see, I don't know, no way, but we're not going to see a cruise ship return to Los Angeles. And, there's no way we're ever going to see 3 and 4 day Oasis class cruises. And guess what? All three of those things have come to fruition. So if there's a will, no pun intended, because Will did ask me this question, there is a way. Any update on Alaska this summer, Canadian regulations? Canada announced their protocols. They're good to go. Basically, all they said, there's more than what they said, but essentially, if you're eligible to be vaccinated, 12 and above, you need to be vaccinated on a cruise, which is pretty much what Royal Caribbean is already doing anyway. So I think we're good to go. I think, quite frankly, there's no reason to believe we won't have cruises to Alaska. Canada released something last week, and I read through it, and I said, well, this is already stuff we already know about. So, yeah, no changes, which is great. Fantastic news. And Mason jar or Izumi? I still got to go with Izumi, only because, for one reason only, Mason jar, while absolutely amazing and really tasty, and I've been there a lot, it is not good for the waistline. It is anything but healthy. Izumi sushi is much healthier for you. Now, I would take the Mason jar bar over Izumi, but that's a bar versus a restaurant, not quite the same thing there. But I've been to Izumi, and I love me some Izumi. So, yeah. Does it feel crowded on Wonder? It does not. Remember, guys, Oasis class ships were designed to help get people, to separate people, not feel like you're all together at once. So there's enough things going on where it really doesn't feel crowded. And that's not to say that there isn't a line anywhere, or there isn't, I think number one, embarkation day is always a little more crowded than other days. I think people are kind of all, a lot of people are trying to do the same thing at once, at least till dinner time anyway. So that's not unusual, but truly, it's amazing how uncrowded the ship feels. I was just on the Royal Promenade right before this broadcast. I was just walking around, and no, it was nice. With Carnival's cheap prices, even though you love Royal Caribbean, would you consider selling one Carnival ship? I wouldn't necessarily just chase the price. No, if that's your question, the answer is no. I don't think that it's worth it number one, here's what I will say. I've always thought Royal Caribbean is really good at providing a balance of what you pay for versus what you get. Some cruise lines are cheaper than Royal Caribbean, but I don't think you get nearly as much with it dollar for dollar than you do as with Royal Caribbean. And some cruise lines give you a lot more than Royal Caribbean, but they cost a lot more as well. And I really like that balance of price versus what you get here on Royal Caribbean. So, I mean, would I ever go on Carnival just to say I've been on there and check it out? Sure, I wouldn't mind checking it out. I mean, they have some really nice new ships that look pretty cool. And I think in the name of, research, it would be kind of cool to check one out. But no, I would not just simply say, oh, I can probably get a cheaper cruise on the Mardi Gras than I can on Wonder of the Seas. Thus, I will go on Mardi Gras for that reason. No, that's not how I don't think that, for me, that doesn't make any sense personally. No. If you want to do that, totally fine. 5 days till Odyssey, and I'm wondering what's the best way to book Zone 0, arrive 11 a.m. The best way, I would say two strategies here, Matt. Number one, by the way, what is Zone 0? Zone 0 is the full immersive virtual reality experience on Odyssey of the Seas. That's a must-do, in my opinion. Number one, as soon as you get on board the ship, Matt, connect to Royal Caribbean's Wi-Fi, then go into the app, and then see if it's listed in there. If it's not listed in there, you should consider going to the Zone 0 area, which is right by Playmakers in the Seaplex, and try to make a reservation in person. I remember, Matt, on one of my sailings, when I first got on board, they were not taking reservations at first, but then later on they appeared. Anyway, between either the app or going in person, I would take care of that as soon as you can, because that is a very hot ticket. A lot of people looking to do that as well. I want to get married on a cruise. Is that possible? It is possible. Yes. You need to work with the Royal Caribbean group's department, the wedding department, in order to make that happen. There's very affordable ways to get married on a cruise ship, depending on how big of your party, when you want to do it, where you want to do it, who you want to have officiated, and a variety of other factors. You can absolutely do that. But you need to contact the Royal Caribbean wedding department in order to coordinate that. I know a couple different people who've gotten married on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. They said it was a great experience for them. And the nice thing about a cruise wedding is, I would say, number one, you get it's an affordable option. Unlike land weddings, which can really go through the roof, cruise weddings tend to be a little cheaper. Number two, it allows you to share the wedding experience with friends and family, even if perhaps they are not going on the cruise itself. Like some people will get married while the ship is still in port on the first day of the cruise. But there's a lot of different choices that are out there. But the answer is absolutely yes, you can. No, not a problem at all. Thank you everybody for checking it out here, hanging out in the chat, saying hello, and we'll talk again from home next week. And that's be kind of depressing for me, but we'll be back again next Monday right here on YouTube, hanging out, talking more Royal Caribbean with all of you. Until then, have a great rest of your day. I'm leaving you with a view here of the sunset off my balcony here at Cozumel. And there's a guy on a slack line literally standing in front of me.